Hey guys, this week's podcast features Jonathan Oakes, the winemaker at Leonard Oakes Estate Winery. We went to the winery in Medina and talked with Jonathan about making wine, Niagara's wine scene, and their success so far. Let's get to it.
Jonathan, thank you so much for inviting us down to your tasting room here.
Thank you for wanting to do it. This is fantastic.
I can safely say I've never been in this area. As we were driving here, I looked on my GPS. I was like, oh, that's not that far from my work. And then we're driving. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit farther than I thought.
Start to hear the banjo playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're kind of out there.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's worth the drive. I mean, now you have this scenic area where there's plenty of farms and plenty of natural beauty around you.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out here. Our dad grew up on a farm kind of outside of Syracuse, and so this reminds me very much of little area.
This whole kind of Western New York. As soon as you get out of the urban areas, it does shine with the agriculture for sure.
I kind of want to start I just recently saw your name in the Buffalo Spree.
Oh boy! I didn't know you were in this one.
So I'm talking about the beautiful people issue.
I knew it. Here goes my street cred.
I kind of was it a little awkward for you and your wife to be?
Extremely.
I mean, but by the way, you're both a very attractive couple. So
well, thank you.
Very deserved. But that had to be a little awkward having somebody come up to you and ask you to be in that kind of issue.
The first response, I got an email, and actually it was a Facebook message, and my first response was, really? It was right around April Fool's time. Is this an April Fool's joke? Seriously? And I was very standoffish, and I sent the first response as is this Buffalo Spree? Is this? And I came back, But I was assured that they were trying to pick people in the area that were not just to be the People magazine, most beautiful people.
This wasn't like Maxim Hot 100.
Right. No, this was people that are doing excellent things to try to bring up the community, and then I was like, we're on board for sure. Anything,
Yeah, that's nice though. it's not bad. I mean,
it's embarrassing. I'm a farmer. I am a farmer. To go into that scenario where they have somebody that's trying to do makeup on you, I'm like, no, that's good. That's enough. I don't need anything under my eyes. No.
That's awesome.
It was weird, but
yeah.
But very cool. It was great for my marriage.
There you go. Yeah.
It was something we could do together. It was cool.
That's really great. I had to bring it up because I saw it and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
It's okay. All my punk rock friends in Buffalo were like, I'll never live it down.
That's all right.
That's okay.
I wanted to talk before we got into it about the actual tasting room itself.
Yeah.
Because so I recently went on a little bit of a Niagara on the Lake tour with Julia Burke.
In Ontario?
Yeah.
Nice.
So she took me to a couple places out there because I am a wine noob to the max. I'm just starting to get into it.
You and 99% of the people around here. It is kind of new. Wine culture is not really... It's not something we've grown up with necessarily, unless your family was big wine drinkers.
Yeah.
Mine
it's weren't at all. There was Labatt Blue in our house, and that was about it.
Yeah. Right there with you.
But so when we started going to the wine room or the wineries, an actual tasting room was a new concept to me. I don't know why I didn't expect that there should be such a thing. And I was kind of
it defies a lot of logic too, because it is, you walk into a place and it's, somebody wants to give me booze for free, and I just kind of hang out and drink booze and say yes or no. I like it. I don't. And then maybe I walk out with a bottle. Maybe I don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of an odd concept to get used to, but I mean, when the culture is built up around it, when the cuisine's built up around it, most importantly, I think, then you see where those things just kind of integrate themselves and layer themselves beautifully into your everyday life.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't even think about that side of the business, though. You kind of want to have, it almost doesn't say something about your wine per se, but you want to have a nice area that you can attract people. Yeah. And then it even got me thinking, then that's kind of with the bottle too. There's such huge decisions about how cool the bottle looks or something like that.
To the marketing end of this, everything is, it starts right with the packaging. It's everything to try to pull you back towards us. And really, we want all that packaging to tell a story, but we also want you to come out here because we have a story. Yeah. Because we're definitely ingrained in this community, and that's the thing, is we're trying to build more of an experience for people rather than just a one-time quick drink product. If you're looking for the $2 chuck, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a wine culture. We're trying to build an experience. We're trying to layer ourselves within the cuisine world, and all of us are trying to uplift this whole region. We're trying to be something to give tourism to give a destination, to have people, spend a couple days in the area, and if they want to leave their money here, that's okay too for all these small businesses.
Exactly.
So that's great.
Yeah, it's just. So does a lot of thought though go into like how it looks? Like, do you have like a personal
I
like
stew over it? Like the Steampunk Cider. That's that was in my head 10 years ago, and it really took that long to get to fruition. But it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of trying. This. You have this concept in your head, and you don't know whether it's going to work on paper. You don't know whether it's going to translate well to the product. So you're trying to encompass a lot of things within a very small 3-inch by 3-inch label.
And try to have like a general like vibe or like or like attitude about the way you carry.
Yeah, because the worst thing is to just be blah and on the shelf with 1,000 other wines. So
So I guess I kind of want to get at the beginning a little bit of you in getting your background into wine. I read that that your family grew up with a farm, right?
Yes.
Like an apple and grape farm?
The farm is in Lindenville, New York.
Okay.
And we've been farmers there for almost 100 years.
Okay.
We started in 1918.
Wow.
And we've kind of gone a few different reiterations. At first, we started off with the little tomatoes and chickens and all sorts of things that whatever was happening at that point in time that was making it work. And we gradually moved into apples, and I'm the fourth generation now, so we've passed it on down. The apples have been our main staple business, and that's Linoken Farms is the name of the business.
Yeah,
and you can find those apples, most of the tops across New York State, and a few Wegmans here and there, and some farm markets and whatnot.
Yeah,
so that's been out there. That's what we've been doing the core of for a long time.
Is that what you like kind of grew up on?
Yeah,
You pretty much grew up on the farm.
Myself, my brothers, my cousin. We all grew up on the farm. So you get integrated into it. You don't realize it's any different than everyday life, and you want to run away from it as soon as you turn 18. You want to get the hell out of town and move on to something different.
Go to a city anyway.
Yes, exactly. Just give me some culture, please. But the beauty was we all went away and we all realized that how good we had it. And now we're all slowly coming back and saying, let's make this our own. Let's get excited about this area and the things that we're doing and try to build it back up. But myself, I thought I was going to be an archaeologist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hence, I still wear the hat like Indiana Jones. But initially, that's what I wanted to do. I got into some anthropology courses in Erie, Pennsylvania, of all places.
Nice.
The mecca of
of agriculture. Archaeology.
And we just, I started that out, and I love it. I still love it to this day, but it just, it didn't pan out for me as a future career move. So
yeah. It does seem tricky. Like I feel like you pretty much have to live in either like New Mexico or Montana.
You've got to be very comfortable with just traveling around for nothing, and that's okay. But I'm now pretty much a lot more sedentary. I've got 3 kids under me now. So But I moved from there. I went up to Buffalo. I lived in Buffalo for a number of years, and when I came back to the farm, I was just kind of ingrained in what we were doing. My father wanted to plant some grapes because he thought, we'll retire into this. This will be a hobby and later.
Yeah.
And on the farm, you never really retire. You just kind of move into a different job. But very quickly, he didn't have the time to do it. I started fooling around with it, and I caught a love for it. I started taking some hard cider making courses.
Okay.
That were offered through Cornell with a guy out of the UK. And
nice. They know their cider.
Oh, they know cider like you wouldn't believe. And I just kind of caught the bug of fermentation science and started playing around in Grandma's basement with all sorts of different carboys of different apples, and then found this Niagara College program up in Ontario.
Oh, okay.
And it was more of a technical, hands-on school. They have a working vineyard and a working winery, and they just made people direct into the industry. So it's just it was a great next step. And I'd like to see a lot more of that happen around here. I know Niagara Community College is trying to work towards getting a program there.
Yeah, I mean their culinary program has taken leaps and bounds in the last 3 years alone.
That culinary center is amazing.
I still haven't been there. I want to visit so bad.
You should do a show up there. I'll plug you into the guys that are doing that. Yeah, it'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, I've talked to Mark. I think is the
Mr.
one.
Reiner.
Yeah. It seems like they're just they were talking about having a mixology lab.
They already do. Yep, it's up and running. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the things. Yeah, that can plug directly into it. We need the hospitality staff. We need the restaurateurs. We need all these.
Exactly.
We need more business behind a lot of the restaurants, and it can be direct line into all that we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's so so cool to see that happening.
Yeah. So I mean, literally, it took you just playing around with, like, did you have like any real knowledge of wine or no?
No,
you weren't a big wine drinker prior?
I was a beer drinker for the longest time. Well, still am, I guess I gotta admit that. But no, my first wine was a Bully Hill Sweet Walter.
I guess it's kind of like beer as well. Like for somebody who grows up just drinking water, basically, like Coors Light or Labatt Blue Light, and they grow up and they start, and then they go to Sam Adams, and then they,
it's a natural transition, and when you start to see where it lines with food, and you start to bring it to the table more often, and I think that's just how we mature too as drinkers. We at first we're not supposed to, it's kind of like this hidden kind of thing, and then you kind of abuse it a little bit, and then you start to realize that maybe I need to scale this back a little bit, and then that's
I can attest to that. I live across the street from the Pink. So.
Oh God, yeah. So about 3 a.m, you see it all.
Yeah. So I mean, but to start something like that out though, like to start a winery, like I can't imagine because. So I mean, obviously you had the experience where you went up to the school, and I'm assuming you had like an internship or something like around that area.
I worked at Vineland Estates Winery up there on.
Which I think is one of the ones that Julia actually brought me to.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah, it was really, really nice.
They specialize in Riesling and Cabernet Franc, and that's what I'll pour for you there too. So. It's kind of
But so I mean, you're picking up the skills there to do it, but then when you're starting out, like It just seems insane to make something and then not be sure if it's any good until.
Yeah, I mean, you have the best thing is to go into this with your eyes wide open and to have as broad a depth of knowledge as you can possibly have about the product and where it fits in with the rest of the products around you.
Yeah.
Primarily knowing what your region can do horticulturally is probably our biggest leg up.
Okay.
We knew what our limits were as far as temperature, as far as soil structure, as far as what we could do to grow a vine. Mm-hmm. And we planted the vines before I went to school. So, I've been managing them all the way along, all through the process. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's cliche now, but it's true. You cannot make good wine from bad grapes. So it really does have to start there in the vineyard. So the more you have a worldly presence of tasting wines from around the area, the more you know where you fit in and where you can start to build a product. But I mean, you're starting from
from ground zero basically.
And we started from about 800 cases, and now we're at 8,000. Yeah. So and that's 5 years.
Wow.
So it's been a very
really just 5 years.
5 years. It's been a very ramped up, full throttle kind of deal. But at the same time, you have to make the mistakes, and you have to be able to take the risk. You have to understand that that's part of the game too. And,
I mean, was there early batches where you just had to throw out a whole?
Well, we didn't necessarily throw it out, but we kind of it went into a different product, or it was You always try to leave yourself as many ways out as possible. Then the last way is to make it into distillate, and then you've got high proof to add back and make a port style wine or something. So that kind of works out. There's always a recovery.
There's always something you can do.
Plan C or Z. But it was it's still tough to try to say I know where the wine consumer is, because that's ultimately what you need to try to grab a hold of is okay, I've got the best wines in the world maybe, but if the consumer doesn't see it that way, then you've got nothing. Yeah. You can't make people come to your door and make people like your wines. But so we really had to try to what we felt play a broad field. Yeah. We've got a lot of products, and we're trying to fit a lot of different people's palates, both aromatically and in terms of balance on the palate, whether it's sweet and acid or tannic, dry, oak aged.
I mean, is there that part where you have to kind of have like the entry level wine, so to speak, or
I guess. What's the best way to put that? It's more of a.
I mean, I feel like there could be two ways to go about it. There could be one where you're just like more aggressive, and you're just like putting more interesting, or not interesting.
It's like anything with. I mean, you find a beverage that you can like without having to think about it. Like you can just for the sheer enjoyment of it. This is the product I gravitate towards. I can just drink this and not have to overanalyze it, not have to think too hard about it, not have to try to impress my friends on this. This is just we have a multitude of those wines that they're just easy drinking wines.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have it all the way across the board. We step it up a notch and we go into very complex aromatics, wines that are made almost exclusively for food.
Yeah.
Some stuff with some really bright acidity and some very mineral undertones of the wine, which kind of say more about our area.
Yeah.
Where if we were to take those wines out into the international stage, these wines would stack up, and these wines would be a signature of our terroir, our flavors here. So it runs the gamut, but you gotta kind of do that, especially in such a young region.
Yeah. So Niagara is really like on the rise, like especially in the last couple of years. It seems like
we went from 2 wineries 10 years ago to 17.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been really ramped up.
Yeah,
and the most exciting part, I think, is that it's just, to me, it's a sleeping giant. We've got all these things going for us. We have much more plantable acreage than Ontario does, and even, I would say, some areas in the Finger Lakes.
Wow.
And we've got a larger body of water that's very well protected, keeps our little microclimate here very well protected.
Yeah.
We've got the natural escarpment, which keeps a lot of the weather patterns to the south. And we've got one of the 7 wonders of the world in our backyard. This is like a tourism mecca.
Yeah.
And we're just getting going. We have so much room to grow.
Yeah.
We're all encouraging things. We're all uniting on the same front of let's move this forward and let's try to bring more tourism. And
is there a pretty close-knit community of the wineries in the area? Like, does everyone, for the most part, want to push each other up?
You always have certain people want to go rogue, but no, we're very much trying to move forward as a whole.
Yeah, set up trails basically, to try to encourage.
We have one wine trail which is in the process of getting expanded now.
Nice.
We're working it. It's been through the Senate. It's in the Assembly right now. It's a little stalled, but it's going to extend the trail from Route 104 in right downtown Niagara Falls all the way to 390, and then also Route 18 in Lewiston all the way to 390. So we kind of have these 2 routes that are just
nice.
Straight routes, and which kind of compass this whole area. And basically everything from 104 to the north up tight to the lake is very plantable acreage, and
nice.
We'll do well.
That's
so
cool.
It's in transition.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah. Do you find when you see a new guy coming up, is there kind of you want to, if they come to you, you're not afraid to help them out or things like that?
I'm all for helping out. I make wines over at I'm the consulting winemaker for Schultz Vineyards and Winery.
Okay.
And I also have my own consulting business, and I do some telephone consulting for Longcliff Vineyards and Winery. And we very much look at this as we're not in competition with each other. There's enough wine styles. There's enough people doing different things, and we have some distance between us that we want to make this a wine region, not just everybody for themselves.
Nice.
So we're very open to exchanging ideas and everything.
Do you want to sample one?
You want to get the sound effect on this one, I think.
Yes.
This is our first foray into sparkling wine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We think about cool regions of the world. Sparkling wines are just do phenomenally well there because this natural retention of acidity that happens. We can pick it when we want to, which sometimes in our climate, and especially when we talk about the red varieties, they have a tough time getting fully ripened.
Yeah.
So some of these aromatic whites are just ideal for our climate. And this one is a sparkling from 2011. It's been a year and a half on the lease.
Oh.
And we're just getting ready to disgorge a lot of this, and this will be out for sale probably in the next couple of months here.
Nice.
But went the traditional route, used Pinot Noir and Chardonnay grapes.
Okay.
Much like the Champagne region of France.
Nice.
Let's see if we can get this. I'm going to spill it all over myself. I'm sure. Yeah. Face plant. Oh.
That worked.
Kinda. Glug glug.
Thank you very much. So this is going to be the first. Is this the first year that you're going to be offering this?
Yep.
Or?
This is our first batch that we've ever produced.
Wow.
And
I feel honored here. Thank you.
Oh no. Glad you guys came out.
Oh, that's delicious.
All right.
That's awesome.
It's kind of like that really biscuity kind of brioche type notes on the nose, and just all that development that happens when it stays on the lees for that long.
I went to when Julie was taking me on that little wine tour. Mm-hmm. We went to a dinner that was at a winery, and I wish I could remember the name, but I can't at all. But But all of there was a sommelier there. And so as each dinner course was passed out, they passed out the wine, and they like basically read a list of like what you'll be picking up. And I was like drinking. I was like, wow, like that guy's really good at his job. Like
he's right.
Like I don't think like I have the mind where I could. I mean, not yet, I guess. But
and that's the thing. You know, a lot of that is training. A lot of that is inherent, knowing what characteristics should be inherent with that variety as well.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that you look for either because of the processing method that the winemaker chose or the variety that it is. That is it true to form? Is it specific to those characteristics? You should be getting.
Yeah.
And then you can pick out the other unique pieces that make it signature of a particular terroir or a particular region.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, with it's. First is developing lexicon, and it's just tasting a lot of wines. You know,
there's that one like documentary that's coming out, Sam, and it's about the master sommelier test, and it follows these guys, or I forgot what the highest level of the sommelier test, and it follows these guys training for the exam, and they're like losing their mind, and they're like, you see like the one guy who's got like 80 glasses in front of him. It just seems like an insane career too.
I mean, I just imagine your brain normal, and then you know you're starting to pick things apart, and then you know halfway through you can't help it, but you start to get a little buzzed, and then it's like, okay, where goes the retention of knowledge? It's just out the window here. But it really it goes back to having a good sensory memory.
Yeah.
So being able to pick up specific aromatics that can trigger in your brain, or you're able to store them well. And I guess the easiest way to think of it is think of memories from your childhood, because the sensory memory is in a direct link to your everything you're going to pick up on the olfactory.
Yeah.
So. Like think of your grandma's basement, or you know, like certain smells that just definitely pick up and make a register in your brain about some particular memory in childhood or whatnot. And I think that's how you can easily start to catalog a lot of those things away, is if you can make it relatable to you. I
mean, it's got to be really important to you as you're going through the process and like probably tasting samples or anything like that.
Uber important. That's it's every day. It really is.
Do you have like your tongue insured or anything?
No. I know there's a guy in France that has his nose insured for about $4 million. And that just seems crazy to me. For as big as my nose is, maybe I should have some insurance on it, or walk into a doorway or something. But no. There's a lot to the training and the science and the chemistry behind this. You need to know that. It's what makes everything function, and knowing where your next steps are, but also you can't do this without the sensory. You have to be able to know and be able to react and make a decision based, solely off your nose.
Yeah, just pick the little thing that's not right and be able to figure out what that is.
We need to do this. We need to move this here. We need to add sulfur. We need to.
That just sounds so stressful. Also,
I actually find that the relaxing part of the job. That to me gets more into the art form of it.
That's true.
Rather than the science end of it. But,
I guess there isn't like a black and white like a yes and no answer to things.
Right.
Too.
Well, there's everybody tastes and smells differently.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different collective sensory memory. And I mean, there's so much that you can do yourself, but ultimately you still have a signature on that based upon your palate and your ability to nose a wine.
Yeah.
But then you get into, some people are anosmic, which means they have no sense of smell or taste.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of, this weird realm where don't you smell that? Because I smell that. You're supposed to be picking this up right now. So it's tough. And then you just have people that walk in the door and they want to learn more, and they'll read the tasting notes on the sheet, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, this is interesting." So do you put strawberries in this? Do you put blueberries in this? And, no, those are aromatics that release the esterification when this yeast was performing on this variety. Release these aromatics, and then we try to maintain them in the resultant wine, and that enhances the wine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I mean, you can't expect people to know that. You
exactly.
You have to really work at trying to be educational.
Yeah.
And that's where we want to be, and we don't want anybody to feel
intimidated.
Exactly. When they walk through the door, we don't want that approach. We want.
You don't want the upscale, like looking down, like
right.
You want a bottle of that.
We want people to come in here and feel comfortable and want to learn something, because we are such a young region, and if people aren't fostering that kind of educational knowledge, then you're not going to get there.
I mean, obviously, it seems like you enjoy that part of the job is getting to talk about your wines or getting to explain to people
but mostly I'm in the bat cave. I do no windows, and unless I'm out in a vineyard. And at this time of year, it's nice to get a little refresher and get out there.
Yeah.
But
is there like a wave of the busyness of running a winery?
It comes in waves. Is definitely the good analogy. The farming side of it. Obviously, we're hot and heavy in the spring. The summer kind of slows down a little bit, and then we get into fall, and it's just crazy, absolutely crazy. We could be working 15-hour days and 7 days a week. But excuse me. And then we get into the winter, and then the farm side of it dies down a bit. Mm-hmm. We still have to do some pruning and ice wine and stuff.
I've seen your ice wine videos.
All right.
I love the idea of like going out in like 10-degree weather.
It's insane. It really is. Let's describe that one when we taste that
one. All right,
we'll go into all the detail on that.
Yeah. But it seems like an insane process.
It is. But I mean, a lot of this it's got to come from a place, labor of love kind of thing. And, it's all pretty intense. It's just, like you said, it comes in waves. Yeah. And you have to know when to dial it back and relax a little bit, because you're going to have to catch your breath before the next wave hits.
So we've had a couple of like chefs on our podcast, and it seems like a running theme is that they spend all day working on food, and they go home, and then they actually read more about food. And when they go places, they think of where they're going to eat. Like, is that a parallel for you? Like,
yes, you can't get away from it.
Like, I mean, are you like always drinking like other varieties or new things, and trying to always just take in as much as possible too? Or how is your process work?
I don't even know if it's a process. I'm just going to throw everything at me all at once. I'll try to process it and sort it out later.
Yeah.
But the wine side of things, I try to get out as much as possible. Number one, to taste people in the industry in the state.
Yeah.
So I know where we are as a whole, as a region, and how we market ourselves and talk about ourselves to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly recommend wines all the time to everybody. All across the state. So
that aren't even yours,
right? Oh yeah. We gotta promote ourselves as a whole.
Yeah,
and then I try to taste more regions. So I'll be hot on one region, and then dial back and maybe go to a different region.
Yeah.
Still trying to work my way through France. It's been 10 years now, and Italy's one that I just have kind of pushed off to the wayside because I figure I'll never get through it.
Well, that's like, I mean, for like a noob like myself, like the idea, daunting. I guess, is to just start either with a region or something like that, and just go. Like
either find a grape variety that you really like and try to taste all the examples of that from all over the area.
Yeah.
And if you can do it, 3 or 4 bottles of that same variety from a particular region, then you can start to lay down some of the regional profiles. Or if you're gung ho on a region, pick that region and taste everything: white, red, dry, sweet, whatever.
Yeah.
Everything you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
But I think I find myself drinking a lot more beer these days, to be honest. Can we edit that out? No, it's, you work all day with it, and then you come home, and it's kind of, you want to distance yourself a little bit. But I definitely found a love for all fermented beverages.
Nice.
And spirits, for that matter.
You can appreciate I
can appreciate it all.
A good craft beer or a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle or something.
You got that right. I had a little taste when I was in the city, and that's probably the last one I'll get now that.
Yeah, until fall.
Yeah, now that Robert Parker scored at 100 points and he's into tasting bourbon now, it's double, triple, quadruple the price, and good luck.
Oh God.
Yep, but that's the gig,
Yeah,
it's a tough one, and then on the cuisine side of it. Then I got that because I'm trying to educate myself more on cuisine every day.
What foods go with your wines in particular?
I think it's such an integral piece of the puzzle.
Yeah,
much to what a sommelier would do.
Yeah.
And I think I need to have that to be able to speak to the liquor store or the restaurateur.
Yeah.
Or do wine food pairing dinners, which I do quite frequently.
Oh, really?
So, I'm trying to get out and And pair local wines with local foods.
You can't go wrong with that.
That's right. Flavors should go together, right?
Yeah. When you have like a new idea that you're working on, like what roughly is like the timetable from when? Like, do you like have like a little basement like set up? Like I don't know how that works.
No, it's all in the winery and it's all pretty large.
So when you're gonna do something, you kind of got to do it at a big scale.
The test batches, where most people would do, say, a 5-gallon carboy, something like that. We're doing 200 gallons, somewhere around that ballpark.
Yeah.
Which, for us, it starts more in the vineyard. So we know we have an idea of either this grape might be trending or it might be something we really want to play around with because we think it might work really well in our area.
Yeah.
So we'll plan a little bit of it, wait 3 years, get a little bit of fruit, wait 2 more years, get a full crop out of it, press it out, start to work with it and think, oh, yeah, this could do well here. Yeah. Or, no, you blend it. So the trial and error process for that it's a lot longer and a lot drawn out.
That's crazy. I mean, I thought like breweries were crazy with like the 40-day turnaround. No. And they're going off of, okay, this is kind of a recipe. We had the same things every time we make this. Yeah.
And whereas us, it's the variation from year to year is extreme.
Really?
I mean, just the weather. We have 2 years ago, no snow at all. Last year we get bombarded with it. Yeah. So it's tough to try to manage how the flavors are ripening and developing on the vine, and then really it is reacting to what you've got from that year, the chemistry, and making something, altering your processing manner to fit what the wine is going to be for that year. Mm-hmm. It also gives us a little bit of leeway over beer, because we've got vintage variation that we can fall back on.
The years mean something. Yeah. When I talk to people, like I had no I'm just gonna keep saying Julia because she's the only wine person I know. That's cool. But I mean, like she would tell me like that certain years were like really good. She's like, oh, this is the 2009. Like I was like, all right, sure. Like,
that's great.
Yeah. Like I had no idea. Like I
how many days was I in a tank top that? Yeah.
But like I thought of it as like how you think of bourbon. I thought like, oh, it's older, so it must be better. Like I didn't put it has a seasonal.
There's meaning. a lot of misnomers in the processing of this, and that being one is that more aged wines are more revered. They're better.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case. I mean, there's certain things chemically that need to be aligned for that wine to be really age worthy, and the majority of whites in the world are pretty much ready to drink.
Yeah,
so reds can get away with a little more age. They have a little more structure, a little more alcohol there. You want to age them a little bit more. But sometimes a lot of wineries won't release it until it's ready to go. Or they will tell you explicitly, hold this back for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And then buy 3 cases of it. But, it kind of it runs that kind of gamut of every wine is made for a different place at the table, a different season, a different mood, a different ageability, and it's all you've really got to ask the producer, and they'll give you very explicit directions as to where to go with it.
That's pretty awesome. Do you have like a little cellar like that? You have some stuff that's
we got a little bit of the library kicking around. A few cases here and there, some stuff that from the early years. But nice. Being only 5 years old, we don't
true.
We don't have much age to deal with. But
I mean, so like Niagara is pretty new to this whole winery thing and getting on the scene. So when I went to that dinner, there was a wine writer from Toronto that was there, and I said I was from Buffalo, and they're like, "Oh, like Niagara, that's like cute what you guys going on." Like there was this like attitude that they're like, "Oh, that's cute what you guys are trying
Maybe
to
someday.
do." Yeah. I mean, do you notice that? Like if you're so people in the area probably might not be too familiar, but like talking to people outside the area who have certain maybe thoughts or ideas already about an area, like
the big thing, I don't say it's like a battle or anything. I see us all as one unit working together. I'm sure there are people that don't see it that way, and a lot of it has to do with political issues and border and duty and taxes and all that such. But ultimately, I see this kind of blue sky idea of an international wine route that runs from Toronto to New York City, two of the cultural meccas of the East Coast.
For sure.
It makes sense to fly them into one city, fly them out of the next, and make them stop at every winery along the way, and they can ship it out of to ship it to their destination wherever. but up to this point, it has been we are the new kids on the block, and we know it, and we were going to take our lumps regardless. The best thing that's happened to us is that the Finger Lakes and Ontario have 30 to 40 years. Of making all the mistakes. so we know where to lead. We know what to do. We know how to get up and do this and do it a lot faster. I think get everything up and running.
Yeah.
And I want to work across the border as much as I possibly can. I mean, not only did I study there, recognizing that their terroir is almost identical to ours, same escarpment, same soil structure, same body of water. Yeah. We've got all the same things going, except probably money, to be quite honest and blunt. And they've got a lot of people from other industries that have sunk money into the wineries that are right there. And
I drove around Niagara on the lake. They got some money up there.
You've got $300,000 to put on a hectare. Like that's what the land is going for over there.
Wow.
Whereas we are roughly $3,000 to $4,000 an acre here.
Wow.
So it's
that's kind of
night
a
and day,
good
but it's
thing.
Good. Yeah.
For somebody like you who's like in the early stages and expanding and everything.
And I look at it as we're the new kids on the block, and you don't have an impression of us because you probably haven't had us before. So cool, come check us out. We're new, we're hip, we're different.
Yeah. So you don't mind though the little brother at the table?
That's fine. That's fine. We'll grow fast, and no, I'm happy to it because I have great respect for everything they're doing over there.
Nice.
Really, I think they're making some of the best wines on the East Coast.
I had some good ones over there.
Yeah.
It was a nice time.
Some good stuff.
Yeah.
And the Canadian palate is a little bit different than ours. They like a little
you
more.
find like certain styles are more popular.
Like really racy acidity, like it's just super lightning bolt down the center of your palate, and so do I. So I mean, it's kind of cool too. But
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What do we have?
Oh, so now we're talking about the Niagara region and all this area and what we have to offer. And I think I would stand this up to any of their Rieslings. This is a 2012 Riesling from the Niagara region. So we are kind of carving out what our region is and where we may have pockets of different terroirs based upon escarpment land or lakeshore land.
Okay.
This one is a collection of 3 different sites that I'm kind of in my head, and a lot of what Canada has already done as well, playing off of their terroir.
Yeah.
Looking at this is off of our property, we're very lakeshore. Tends to be sandier soils. Tends to produce very overtly fruity kind of aromatics.
That's really nice.
Thank you. And then we've got the base of the escarpment, which is a little heavier clay, but it's right at the base where there was an old lake bed.
Okay.
And so there's lots of deltaic lacustrine deposits in there, and it's a little bit heavier soils, but has some interesting flavors coming off of that. Nice. And then we've got the middle of the escarpment, which has this very dolomitic limestone underlay, which gives us this kind of very chalky mineral component on the nose. So we're kind of layering in all of these things within this Riesling here, and it shows us the whole region, because one property is right up tight to Lewiston, another one's in Cambria, and then we have ours, which is Lakeshore out here in Orleans County. So
that's awesome.
It's kind of cool to see the potential of the entire region.
Yeah, that's really neat, and it tastes fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
so it's about hitting the front of that tongue with a little bit of that just almost sweetness, and sweet fruit hits, and then it kind of fills out, and the acid's the last thing you just taste. It just keeps lingering around and cleansing the palate, and it makes you want to drink more. It's just kind of how it works.
Yeah. It's kind of funny hearing you talk about like the different soil in the area. It kind of I can almost see like a little parallel to your prior. Your college degree.
There you go.
It's.
I never drew that. Yeah.
It seems pretty kind of funny how that works.
We needed to learn all those things in anthropology and try to be able to pick out what we were looking at as we were going through the soil strata.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Nice.
So I think the first time I really heard about Leonard Oakes was it was the Steampunk. And it was at, I believe, Nicholas A. Chef.
Yeah.
Which might even been before that. But I remember seeing it as like a secret ingredient for one of the challenges.
Yeah, that was a great honor to do it.
Yeah. And it's and this is the cider I'm talking about. And it's kind of crazy. Like, it seems like it's gotten really, really popular in the last couple of years.
It has really jumped out of the gate.
Yeah.
our biggest issue right now is keeping up with production, which is a good problem to have.
That's a very good problem.
The uniqueness of this. Yeah, why don't we pour a little bit of that?
Oh, sure.
Why don't we pour a little bit of that, and we can talk about it as we go.
Yeah.
The uniqueness of it is that it is a collection.
I've had several bottles of this, by the way. It's very good.
One more is not going to hurt, right?
No, not at all. Not today. I'm just saying in general.
I brushed my teeth with it. But it's a collection of apples. There are 13 varieties of apples in this, and 11 of them being traditional English cider varieties. Mm-hmm. And they're known for their tannic content, that much like if you were to take a red wine, steep it, or take a red wine, or much like a red wine has the tannic, the drying sensation on the palate.
Yeah.
Or if you were to take a tea bag and kind of steep it for too long, you get that really almost astringent drying sensation on the palate.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the tannins. That's what we talk about when we talk about dry wine. Dry wine kind of means the absence of sugar, and tannins kind of give you that more astringent bite.
Yeah.
But some people confuse that. When they have a sweet wine that has some tannins there, they still may think it's dry.
Okay.
When actually it's sidebar. But this has those English apples which have those tannic qualities, much like a red wine, so that there's structure there.
Yeah.
So it's not just all sweet juice that you're putting down. It comes back on the finish, and it builds up with a little bit of that bite, and it's got some funky notes. That is the English, the varieties. They just have a bit of that funk to them on the finish.
Yeah.
And
it's nice because when I'd have like a glass of this, like, a lot of people might consider like hard cider like something like a woodchuck or like something like that that's like super sweet and doesn't really have like a layer of complexity to flavors. It's really for 18-year-old kids who don't like beer yet.
The biggest problem in the industry right now is that now that cider is trending, it's getting hip again.
Yeah.
All the beer guys are jumping into it, and they're making bastardized versions of cider.
Yeah,
It's not true to form in any way. They're not even utilizing the real apples.
Yeah.
The apples that they should use for that.
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of apple juice concentrate that's used. We're seeing a lot of caramel color and flavorings
you go to like
and additives back
a
to
beer
it.
store, like there's like now just a full like Tops or Wegmans. There's a full just cider section now.
Yep. And very few of them that you can find that are true traditional ciders that keep true to form. So it's a tough thing, but maybe it just makes more cider drinkers. And hey, we're all right with that, and we'll come in with our artisanal approach to it. And
I mean that's just what I like so much about this though, is that you drink it and it feels like you're actually drinking like a grown up drink.
Yes. There's some structure there. Yeah. You can have more than one. You don't have to.
Yeah. But I really enjoy it, and it seems like it just has picked up.
Yes,
like wild.
We entered into the New York City market with it just recently. We've been down there for about a year now in Manhattan and Brooklyn, and it's just kind of caught fire.
That's awesome.
Now let's plant some more apples. But the same problem we talked about before is now. Okay, how long does it take to grow an apple tree? 5-6 years. Oh shit! So it's a great problem to have, but at the same time, it's like this is.
But, I mean,
it's good to see it.
Did you have any idea it would be?
No. I like I said, I thought about this product for about 10 years. I did an infinite number of trials. I did one version that was traditional champagne style, re-fermented in a bottle. It just didn't go. It didn't hit. People weren't. I don't know whether it was the price tag or what, but people just didn't hit, or there wasn't the right timing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And so this is a forced carbonated version of it, which is a bit different. But now it's taken off like storm, and I think a lot of it has to do with packaging and stuff too.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Steampunk name is pretty cool. Like I think that had a little bit to do with it getting really. I mean, when I first read about it or I saw the videos of it, I went to the closest liquor store and they were already out of it. Like they were sold out. And this is maybe 2 years ago or whatever. I was like, wow, this
nice.
Stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's gotta get on somebody about that. It's steampunk in and of itself. It fits so well with what this product is.
Yeah.
You think about cider. Cider was one of the key beverages in our entire country's history.
Yeah.
All of the founding fathers made it themselves, drank it, and for the longest time it was the working man's drink.
Yeah.
In the turn of the Industrial Revolution, the turn of the century, it was oftentimes people would pay labor for it. Drunk worker was a happy worker. Keep him sloshed on cider all day, and he was going to pick more apples.
Yeah.
But then lovely Prohibition hit, and it was one of those beverages that just never rebounds or bounced back, never came back. And now it's just finally starting to get there.
Yeah.
And why it works so beautifully with the name is that, the Industrial Revolution, the whole steampunk concept is that, it takes the thinking that maybe we never left this industrial revolution age. Victorian aesthetic still reigns through our culture, and steam powered, everything, mechanized all of our stuff rather than the gasoline engine. Yeah. And
I think steampunk in general kind of has had a rise in like the last decade,
and
too.
That they work together. They worked hand in hand for sure. But the coolest thing about this is what fully wraps this fully for me is that all up and down the East Coast, every cider mill was run by steam. That had steam with belt-driven presses that ran all the cider mills. So that kind of brings it full circle.
Yeah. I went to my first literally old school cider mill last summer, and I was like, oh man, I wonder how they do it. And then you just see this huge big stone wood thing and just smushes it, and you're like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Right. Squish.
I was expecting this elaborate process. It's like, no, yeah, that makes sense. You just squish it really hard.
Well, we're a little more involved. We've got ag markets we got to deal with, and so no, we're very cunningly operation.
Yeah, I mean, because that was kind of also your family's farm too. Mm-hmm. I mean, so that apple has always been there.
It ties right in with the history of our family too.
Yeah,
so
that's really cool. And I mean, I've seen that a lot of your varieties have been winning awards too. I mean, I don't know if that was one of them, but I know.
Yeah, that one surprisingly right out of the gate before we even released it to the public. We sent it to a competition, and we found out 3 days before we released it to the public they would won a double gold medal at one of the local competitions, and it was an international competition too. So it was really cool.
That's
very cool to see.
That's big stuff.
Yeah.
How is the actual grading process? Is that somewhat of a are you on your nerves when that happens, or? Are you just like you know what, judges have their own taste, whatever.
It's a tough thing to be a part of. I mean,
it's also kind of ridiculous that you have to put a number on something. But that's I review restaurants, so I can't even talk about that.
No, it is that. You can't. There's a lot of people that are involved in it. There are a lot of people that are doing the tasting, and palate fatigue is a real thing. It happens after 6, 7, 8 wines. Yeah. Your palate gets tired. It gets exhausted. Mm-hmm. And as professionals as we think we are sometimes, you could be missing out on something.
Yeah.
And to think that somebody can taste several hundred wines in one day,
that's ridiculous,
with maybe an hour or two break, and it's tough.
Yeah.
But for me, I love it when it happens, but I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket.
You don't get too high,
right,
and you don't get too low. You try.
Right. I'm just here's what it is, and I did the best I could, and if it happens, it happens. If not, so be it. C'est la vie. Hopefully, somebody else around here will get one, and then we can all talk about it.
Yeah. But that's got to be a little nerve-wracking.
For sure.
Because, I mean, those are huge. I mean, you go to a premiere and you see the little card with the number, that's a huge thing just right there.
It's a big upsell. And maybe some liquor store workers that I know might have some other opinions on that, but they hate the fact that the numbers are there because it skews everything, it directs people, but at the same time it does help to sell things.
I know the worker could say whatever he wanted about something, but then the guy goes over and it's like, but that has a 94.
So and so said it. So and so gave it some random number, from across the country.
Enthusiast.t.biz said,
yeah. Some guy who I have no idea what his training is said something about something.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's the game, and a lot of it is subjective to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. We try to be as clairvoyant and objective as possible on everything that we do, and forthright and honest, and that's how we think people are going to learn, and the wine culture is going to raise up.
Nice.
And it's ambitious, I guess, but. But
I guess
worth it in the long haul, I think.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of maybe wrap it up and just talk about what are your goals for the future of Leonard Oakes? Do you try to think too far ahead, or are you always just kind of in the moment thinking what you want to do with what you have?
I'm in the moment thinking of what I have to do, and then I'm always thinking about where can I take us. Always, I'm always trying to think 4 or 5 years ahead of the game. I'm always trying to be on the curve and be a little bit progressive as much as I can.
Like see like wine trends that are coming.
Yeah,
and things like that?
Wine trends, or finding different varieties that may now have access to planting around this area.
Yeah,
or trying to partner with chefs. We're currently overhauling our tasting room here, doing things a little bit different.
Is that the extraction?
Yeah, we've got a new pavilion plug a new pavilion out there, and we're going to be able to house about 120 people out there.
Wow!
And we're singing in the kitchen.
That's awesome.
And we're hoping to bring out chefs to just do spotlight some things here and there. And,
nice. I think my friend DJ
DJ's
at
great.
Crave was talking about that kind of stuff. Yeah,
DJ and Adam, they're great. They're great.
Yeah,
they've helped us a lot, and we worked with them through Nickel City Chef and all that.
Oh yeah. Your wines are always there.
No, we're excited about the future of the whole scene. I mean, the culinary side of it, the wine side of it, the beer now. There's this hop vineyard or whatever they call it, hop farm here, and there's people talking about getting into distilling as well.
Yeah, the eight spirits or whatever.
Yep, and I've heard some more scuttlebutt of some other things coming out this way too.
Nice.
So I mean, it's all happening.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, so we just all need to work together and realize that we're stronger as a whole. Than any one of us.
Nice. But Jonathan, thank you so much for letting us come down here and have a couple sips of your delicious wine. And
anytime.
And for helping me get a little bit more educated on this stuff.
We're always happy to help in that department.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.